Hello everyone and welcome back to another steamy Red Dead adventure. I'm your host, Lord Troldemort, and today we're going to be getting into a lot of action, so buckle up and get ready.
Here. You're a great man, Arthur Morgan. The kind of young whippersnapper I can really admire. Oh, shut up.
We find ourselves back at the majestic Grizzly, ready to get into some action. There's all kinds of stuff to get into, lots of dead people to loot, and lots of people to take advantage of, so let's just crack right into it. Our last adventure ended with a hunting trip with Hosea that was at best unsuccessful. He took us to get a giant bear and we couldn't quite finish it off, leaving the legendary for later exploits. As recompense for our failed hunt though, we decided to take it out on some of his brethren up in the woods, and go ahead and slaughter a bear. We'll skin him up and we'll throw his hide on our horse. We tear this poor soul from butt to gut, strip his flesh off, and then slap it onto our steed, making sure to waste nothing. That's the way of the hunter. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of brutal butchery as long as it's for the sake of profit, or at least that's what I've always said. We hoist his hide and then hop on over to our horse, where we can expect some more adventures to ensue. Our travels thus far have taken us from the snowy mountains down to the dusty town of Valentine and then back up to the Grizzlies. Here in the Grizzlies we've found ourselves lots of loot that we can acquire and a few dead people that we need to go ahead and strip of anything valuable. We pocket the watch along with some other glorious goodies, decide to stuff our pockets with ammunition, and then wander on outside to see if there's anything interesting in this area. We discover some collectibles only acquired through the fine art of smoking. God, I love cigarettes. But don't worry, it's not an unhealthy addiction. It's more like a collector's hobby. It really is a shame that you don't get Pokemon cards with your beer, otherwise I'd probably have a few Dark Charizards right now and I'd be sipping something on Tahiti instead of sitting here making YouTube videos for all of you fine folks. Speaking of fine-doing gentlemen, it seems like this guy has a nice little cattleman's revolver for us, which will let us dual-wield them. Too bad I hate this pistol and will never use it. But we may as well clean it up and make it nice. I do like nice things. A bit of spit shine and elbow grease, and we'll have her looking good as new. It may not be my favorite pistol, but it is Arthur's cannon pistol, and I gotta admit, she cleans up pretty nice. Now that we've taken care of a bit of the dirty work per se, we can take in some local scenery for a moment. I don't know what these hanging sticks and bones are for, but I think they're pretty, and that's good enough for me. As long as a skinwalker doesn't show up and Wendigo crazy all over my ass, then I should be fine with this native culture. We've had a long day, riding from Valentine to the Grizzlies, almost getting killed by a bear, and then taking our revenge on another one, then looting some dead men and taking what we can in some abandoned towns. Seems like a good time to lay our head down in this fire outpost and just reflect on the day as we get ready to end day 19. We'll reawaken on day 20. The morning of day 20. 1/5 of the way through our journey, and the progress we've been making is slow at best. We're trying our best to push forward, but every time we seem to be getting somewhere, we get taken further and further away from our objective. So it seems like we must be ready to make our way back to Valentine and then to camp so we can progress this story a little bit. With much haste, we get back on the road, eager to explore, but more eager to get back to camp so we can push forward this story and really just get Dutch where he needs to go. It's been a lot of work so far, and avoiding the Pinkertons just keeps getting worse and worse, so it seems like the plan of sitting around isn't going to be doing the best for us. Regardless of my misgivings, we push onward, until we find a nice young lady on the side of the trail. Even though I'm in a hurry, I can't ignore a lady in need. We hop on down, eager to help, and shove this stupid sturdy steed to the side. Once we help the young lady, we decide to put her on her feet and wish her well. As much as we'd love to give her a ride, we do not have time for any more detours. I'm sure she'll make it back fine. We arrive back in town after a quick wardrobe change, just in time to witness one of America's greatest pastimes, a public hanging. We stare off and reflect in somber silence on how this could be us swinging from this rope any day now.
Hanging this guy.
Dutch has led us down a dangerous journey, and at any turn it could have been us who ended up on that rope. So we decide we'll watch and give reverence to the man who his life will now end. A short drop and a quick stop puts an end to the matter, and we smoke a cigarette in solemn silence. I strongly considering strangling to death the man who just knocked the cigar out of my hand, but then reflect on the fact that the constable is looking right at us, and that probably wouldn't be the best decision, in light of what just happened in front of me. After our indulgence in the dark world of death, I decide that I need something a little happy to lighten my spirits. Head on over to my pal the pup and give him a couple pats. This is the AAA gameplay that Rockstar promised us, and they did not disappoint. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that petting dogs is the sole reason that this game is rated so highly. We saddle up and head out of town, eager to make a mark on the world that's more than just some boots swinging in the wind like that poor fellow. Here by the river, we stumble across a man who seems to label himself a self-proclaimed prophet. He delivers to us a self-stylized sermon on the severity of the actions we've taken and how our karma might be affected in this life and the next.
None, friend.
Offers us no forgiveness, but we didn't expect any. We're a cold-hearted bastard from the beginning. We're always going to take the money in the end.
Smell it on you.
He says he can smell something on us, but I'm not entirely convinced that it's not just the black water coming out of his britches, if you know what I mean. He pontificates and postulates for a moment longer before decidedly making his exit from the river. And as he does, I decide that maybe I shouldn't have been standing downstream from this disgusting man this entire time. Personal hygiene aside, I do appreciate his concern for our soul, lost though it may be. So I decide to let him live rather than drown him in the waters of his own making. Back onto my horse and back onto the trail, where I decide to make my way back to the camp. And on the way, what do we run into except for a black bear? The horse spooks for a moment, but we get her under control, and then we get ourselves a proper weapon so we can take him out. Devastating delivery of slugs to the skull leaves him dead. Now we acquire our corpse through use of a lasso and bring him ashore so we can skin him. These black bears might as well be babies next to the gigantic grizzlies that we were taking out earlier. Nonetheless, his meat's valuable and so's his skin, so we'll get whatever we can off of this poor creature before we load him up and haul his ass back. Once the deed is done, we abandon the carcass, load up what's valuable, and make our way. We call over Pickles, who's always eager to carry our burdens. This is a wonderful horse, and I'm so glad we stuck with him. I don't care what Hosea has to say about him. And he drops a big deuce to remind us just what he thinks of Hosea. We start galloping up the trail, ready to make our way up to Valentine to sell some of this stuff, and then over to Horseshoe Outlook so we can continue the journey. The treacherous terrain gives us a bit of trouble for a moment, and we just have to make a quick hop over the river. And unfortunately, as much as we sing Pickles' praises, he doesn't seem to have the best landing feet on him. Our bearskin's gone away down the river too, but it's okay. As we make our way up to the top of the cliffside, we find ourselves a nice prospector who's looking for treasure. And we do what any sane person would do and rob him for his map. He tries to lie to us and tell us it's nothing but scrap paper, but by the way he's concealing it, I can tell it's something valuable. And we're gonna need that. He makes a break for it, and as much as we'd like to kill him, we decide that we're going to take the humane route here and yank him off of his horse, possibly giving him severe spinal injury. We'll tie him up and we'll relieve him of said map. Now we just got to check his pockets to make sure he doesn't have anything too valuable. And there's the map we were looking for. Now let's check his horse for anything we might get there. But Horsey doesn't want to cooperate, and sends us flying. I highly contemplate killing the horse, but then decide that I'm a changed man and I don't need to do it. He asked me not to leave him like this, and I decide it would be pretty cruel to leave him for the vultures and the scorpions, so we cut him free. But not before we pull out our pistol. Just in case. He doesn't want any smoke, and he heads off to his horse. And we head down to the treasure, which is now ripe for the taking. I scurry down the hill, and with Pickles in tow, I decide that maybe I should leave him behind after the last aquatically challenged moment that he had. Pickles might not have found his sea legs yet, But we're not about to let this opportunity flounder, so we're going to head into the water and start looking for this treasure. A quick hop and dive, and we're off. The currents don't seem to be too dangerous, but we'll take a break on the rock just to get our bearings before we head on over to the high-stakes treasure number 1. I guess it's high stakes because it's in a dangerous area. We'll be the judge of that. After an inspection of the map, it appears that the treasure's behind the waterfall. Who would have thought? Probably the best place to hide your treasure. No one ever looks there. But seriously, the trope of having a hidden area behind a waterfall is so tired that maybe we should just leave it back with the Ocarina of Time where it came from. We surmount the slippery rocks and proceed to scurry our way across the ledge, up a little log that's leaning precariously into the waterfall, and then go through the gates of water into a lovely little oasis. Back in this area, we can expect to find treasures aplenty. And there it is. The high-stakes treasure 1. For our trouble, hopefully we'll be rewarded with something good. And it looks like it's another map, so this journey will continue. At first glance, I'm not familiar with the area depicted, so I decide that I'll sit on this map for a while and head on back to the horse. A hop into the water and then a swim will get me back. Better watch your step as you make this jump, though, because it can be treacherous. A little slip doesn't hurt me too bad, and I make my way through the current and back up the bank, where Pickle awaits us, ready to take us back to town. A gallivant through the woods unveils an O'Driscoll camp. Lovely fellows. As I decide on how to handle it, I hear a bear yelling at me, and I decide that this is probably an opportunistic moment for me. We'll leave the horse for now, and we'll lead him right up the hill. Come on, bear, I got some snacks for you up here. Irish flavored. This bear strategy, believe it or not, is highly effective. He begins butchering the Irish rogues, tearing them to shreds and devouring them. I decide to let him have his fun, because I don't want to get involved. After seeing that they're doing some harm to my animal friend, I decide to step in. Somebody's got to protect the animals. With a quick pop of the Deadeye, we end that man's life, before moving on to the rest of them. These men seem to be a bit of bullet sponges at the moment, but we'll keep dropping them. I don't know what these Irish hides are made out of, but they sure are thick. I decide that maybe the revolver is not the right way to go, and I switch to the repeater, so that way I can quickly dispatch the remainder. I feel bad for the poor bear that I lured to his death, but it probably would have been the same outcome if I had killed him myself, so... We head back to the horse, popping a quick heal on the way. And once we've killed all but the last, we decide to pull out the lasso for some classic wildland justice. You don't want to know what's going to happen to this guy.
Didn't lose my hat in that gunfight dust.
People come looking for me.
I bought a fancy hat and I protected it.
After remarking to my missus on the quality of my clothing and how I am so good at protecting it, I loaded up everything I could carry along with my hostage and heading back into the wilderness. I stopped off briefly at what appears to be either a homestead in progress or one that's long lost. Not too far from Wallace Station, we decide that we'll pick up any goodies we can find in the fireplace. Apparently there are none, and we just keep on moving. Our next leg of our journey leads us to a cave where there's a large, indistinct bone. Probably another giant lizard bone that old lady's looking for. So we jot it down in our notebook, just in case it may lead to a reward in the future. I sketch out the best boner pick I can for her, embellishing only a little bit to make it bigger, and then I put my notebook away and head back out. On the way back to town, we find ourselves in the homestead of a lonely old lady. She's a bit confused and thinks we're here for some kind of delivery, so we go along with it, like any sane person would do, and use this misunderstanding situation to go ahead and steal anything we can that's not nailed down.
Leave what you got in the cellar and be on your way.
She gives us a free pass to head into her cellar, and it seems like an easy way to just take whatever we want. She doesn't seem to mind as we rifle through her drawers and take all of her food. She probably knows that we're a nice, upstanding young man. Now that she's taken offense, though, it seems like maybe she can't get up out of that chair at all.
You got no idea of the pain coming your way.
She gives us a bunch of empty threats, but we don't really care. We slowly steal from her as we walk through here.
Get far, far away.
And here's the cellar in question, where we can find some kind of goodies. A lady who's bound to her chair isn't too much of a threat to us, so we just ignore her yapping and keep stealing. And there we have it, the reward for our deeds.
Fuck yeah, shotgun?
Now, the semi-auto shotgun is probably one of the single most broken weapons in the entire game. It might not have the flavor of the double barrel, but it sure does do its job right. She's got a whole bunch of threats, and she's still flapping her jaw. But we're not too worried about it. We're just going to keep robbing anything we can.
You wait till my boys get their hands on you!
Oh, poor lady. Now that we've stolen literally everything that we can from her homestead, we decide to head out before those sons of hers show up. I ain't one to shy away from a fight, but I don't want to have to kill anybody for no reason. Unless, of course, they're an O'Driscoll or someone who just bumps into me or says something rude. That's different. As we meander closer to town, we've found ourselves on the edge of one of those bounties that we picked up in the sheriff office, and it sounds like she's about to get herself another victim. Maybe we can save the young lad and take her out before it happens.
That there's a bounty hunter.
A quick toss of the lasso will subdue her compatriot before I tie him up and then do the same to her. Struggle all you want, pal. Just so you know, I just saved your life.
You dumb little boy.
Now, this Jezebel's a bit of a talker, and I don't like the way she's talking to me, so we're just going to go ahead and subdue her.
Rot in hell. Rot with the rest.
I don't know if she's into bondage and restraints, but she's going to be in them right now.
Save me.
We accidentally cut her free, and she begins whooping my ass. But we push her back to the floor quickly and tie her up.
Why'd you cut her free?
Come here.
Unfortunately for her, regardless of my misgivings about hitting and tying up women, there's a bounty on her head, and I'm not about to let that slip past. But I am a nice man, so I'm going to go ahead and cut her friend free.
Kill that bounty hunter.
Doesn't seem to be the right thing to do, as he's a bit of a simp, and he's willing to die for this lady. We'll give him what he wants if that's the case. We'll gut him like a fish. Now that he's dead and gone, we'll check his pockets and throw him into the river. At least, he might not have been worth much in life, but he can at least be some fish food in death. He serves some purpose. The universe moves on.
Settle in. You got a ride ahead of you.
Before we drop her off and collect our reward, I notice that she's got a horse out in the river. I don't want to leave him there by himself. Seems like the wrong thing to do. Plus, we can maximize our profits by riding him back and selling him to the stable. So we go ahead and save him from this endeavor, ride him back, and then call our trusty steed to follow us. Pickle should be able to take this river no problem. But for some reason, he doesn't really want to go in the water. Maybe he's trying to protect the young lady on his back. That's a chivalrous horse if I ever did see one. We arrive back in Valentine, where she's got a date with the gallows, but for now she's going to be taking a waiting room seat in one of these extra cells. Hey, deputy, I brought some trash for you.
You're a lady killer here, Sheriff?
Yeah, we did. Put her in the cell, won't you?
I protest my innocence.
She might protest her innocence, but we saw with our own two eyes. She killed that young boy by the river with a knife. Definitely wasn't us.
Better out by the falls.
Poor dear.
Man just got a habit of
We pick up our payment, a recompense for the righteousness that we've performed today.
the Black Widow herself. This town's so starved of women.
Upon pocketing our reward, we realize it's not but a pittance and decide that we gotta sell this horse to make a little bit of money. It's not the most honest way of living, but in the event that we didn't take it with us, it was just gonna drown in that poor river, so I'd say we're doing the right thing here. Up the street we go to the stables to see what he can offer us for this poor, pathetic little horse. The stable master says he can't offer us full price without papers, and so he gives us a whole $1.10 for our troubles. Maybe it isn't even worth riding these here at this point, I realize. I might be the gunslinging outlaw, but I feel like the biggest crook in town is sitting right there behind the stables. Now that we've taken care of our business in Valentine, we can hop and skip on out of town. But before we do, there seems to be a nice gentleman right here who wants to gallivant at us with war stories. He's only asking for a dime, so maybe we can take just a few seconds of our time to see what he wants.
Hey, buddy. Hey, mister.
Now this guy ain't all there in the head, but that doesn't mean that he's got nothing to say.
Never did. You're like,
He seems to recognize us, but I don't think I had a first interaction with him. He keeps asking our name.
you never learned that fella's name.
Poor Mickey.
Now, you'll never see him again. And you'll be sad. Like when your puppy passed. I just slept on it.
Oh my god.
Mister.
He slept on his puppy and killed it.
Arthur.
We decide we feel bad for him, and even though we don't want to talk to him much, we'll give him our name just to make him feel better.
Arthur. Uncle Arthur, we called him on account of his name.
Please don't touch me, I think, as he wanders closer to me.
A strong name.
I start to walk away, as I'm not really interested in what he has to say, and he just tags along, talking and talking.
Yes, you could.
You can really tell from Arthur's stance here that he doesn't care about what this guy has to say, and is just genuinely not wanting to be around him. But I just don't have the heart to beat the man up. So I decided I'll talk to the bartender and just ignore Mickey for now. We buy ourselves a shot and then a hot meal. And with that, we're going to bring things to a close today. That's it for today's adventure in 100 days to get Dutch to Tahiti. We've made it to day 20 and the journey is just getting started. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes. Your support means a lot and helps grow the channel. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and any tips for our journey. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.